there, we just got our, I guess, quarterly haul from Azure Standard. And I am always looking for videos that just show what other people get so it can kind of jog my mind or my thoughts about what we could get, what would work well for our family. And so I just thought while I was unloading everything, I would just make a quick video of this. So there's kids in the background, everything's a mess, and I'm just kind of throwing this together at the last second. But I wanted just to share what it is that we get in case you're looking for ideas, because they have so much stuff that it can be a little overwhelming. So some of these are new for us, and some of them are like tried and true favorites, or either brands that we're already real familiar with, so we, are used to those things. So one thing that I always like to get are frozen onions. They really sell out of these very, very quickly. This is a 5-pound container, and you can sign up at their website if you want to know how much everything costs. I feel like the prices probably vary from month to month or so based on inflation and those types of things. So I don't want to put prices with this. Not everything that they have is necessarily cheaper than what it would be if I went to Walmart and bought it. But I do love the fact that I can buy it in bulk, so I can have onions for the next 3 or 4 months and not worry about getting onions on a regular basis. And then we're prepared in case, we can't go to the grocery store or don't want to go to the grocery store, or anything in the world is happening where we can't go to the grocery store. So that is one of the reasons we buy from Azure. And the second reason is because they are a Christian family-owned business. So if I can support them instead of like large multinational conglomerates, then I'm not against that. So that is one of the reasons that we buy from them, when it might even be a little cheaper to sometimes buy locally. But when it comes to gluten-free foods and some of the whole foods, natural foods, it is absolutely cheaper to purchase from them instead of through like a local chain store. So another thing that we didn't get this time, because we still had plenty, are little hash brown cubes. And everything comes in a box, and most of the time when it's in a big box like this, it's not going to be individual portions. It's just one big bag. So we're going to break these down into Ziploc bags and store them that way. That way, whenever I need onions, I'm not trying to get this whole big box out. I can just grab one of the small bags and just open it and toss it into the fryer and keep going from there. So onions, along that same vein, are these sweet potatoes. See if there's a picture. No, there's not a picture. So this is the bulk. Let's see how much. 12 10-ounce bags. So the sweet potatoes do come individually frozen. This is a different brand than what I've gotten in the past. Generally speaking, a sweet potato is a sweet potato. So I don't have a brand preference with that. They're just flash frozen, just sweet potatoes. So I do not ever in my life want to peel and chop up a raw sweet potato. They're really hard, and I'm terrible with a knife. So I always buy frozen diced sweet potatoes for anything that would require sweet potatoes. We love the Lotus brand ramen. You can get these at Costco for close to the same price, but again, I like to buy from Azure as much as possible. So this has 6 of 10-ounce packs inside of it. So we got 2 of these because these are great little noodles. They are a great meal or a side item. All right, so jovial fettuccine pasta. Several things here are pastas. We are a big pasta family. I love the Jovial brand. I also love the Tinkyada brand, so I have both of those, and I just get whatever they have. Jovial has a really good fettuccine noodle, so if you love pasta like we do, there's a big difference between a little ramen noodle and a fettuccine noodle. So I just bought 3 boxes of these because these are expensive. Sliced black olives. We always get them from here. We get the organic ones, or they're natural, I think, and they do taste very different from the ones like the Walmart store brand or whatever the store brand would be. Those taste like the can that they come in a lot of times to me. So I love to buy these in bulk from them because it is a good bit cheaper. More pasta. Annie's gluten-free macaroni and cheese. This is a staple. According to their box, I am a family of 4 by myself, but we eat a lot of mac and cheese. Now, something that's new that I've not gotten before is their beef tallow. I love to cook with beef tallow, and it just makes everything delicious. And I used to buy the Epic brand, and it just, my dog's now, he got in trouble. He's in his crate. He's barking at my chicken who is in the hospital out here, and it's just a whole situation. So, but the Epic tallow is expensive. We're trying this out. Beef tallow is expensive. And we're typically just almost avocado oil across the board because it really has a really high, what is it, flash point or whatever. So you can heat it to a much higher temperature than something like olive oil before it goes rancid and starts to like break down the oils and make them unhealthy. Tallow's the same way. So generally speaking, we cook with avocado oil, and we got 2 bottles this time of their avocado oil. But I want to try the tallow because tallow just imparts a completely different flavor. And so I will probably use this like minimally so that this lasts me. It's like $75 for this case of tallow. And so I will probably only use it in specific dishes. And when we don't use tallow, then we're using avocado oil in the garage. I don't know if you can hear her. Okay. So it comes in these little tubs. So that's perfect. So it's frozen right now. So I can just move this out to my freezer in the garage and then pull one out at a time and let it thaw out. And I believe tallow can be kept at room temperature to keep it soft, but I'm gonna have to look into that. The kind I kept before, I kept it room temperature. Butter. So we are actually getting, like, this video is being made the first week of April. And at the end of this week, we are getting our very first dairy cow. And she will be in milk, but she does have a little bull calf on her. So we're not going to be milking her right away. She's not currently being milked with this calf. She has been milked in the past. And we're just gonna let that bull calf stay on her for a little while until we get used to her and she gets used to us. And we kind of like, cause this is brand new, like we're putting the fencing up and everything for her right now. So hopefully within the next year, I will not be buying butter at all. But for now, I'm buying butter. And butter is expensive. Dairy has gotten a lot more expensive. One of our reasons for getting a dairy cow, not that it's necessarily cheaper by far, because it costs a lot of money to get one, to get started, to get the infrastructure, and then of course you've got the time investment as well. But these are the Mother's Choice sweet cream butter. It's delicious butter, and it's 1 pound blocks, and there's 18 pounds in here. And I think I paid $60 for the 18 pounds of butter. So excited about this. I love to get big cases of butter, stick it in the freezer, pull 1 or 2 boxes out to let them soften as needed, and then we just always have butter, and it's not anything I have to think about at the grocery store. Pasta is more jovial. We love this fusilli, which is like the little twisty noodles. It just makes like a good gluten-free hamburger helper. So I like to use this with some ground beef and then throw in maybe like some diced tomatoes, which is kind of a goulashy kind of thing. Everybody uses that word goulash differently, but then throw some melted cheese into it. Sometimes we'll use ground beef with the fusilli with black olives, marinara sauce or spaghetti sauce, and some mozzarella cheese and some pepperoni, and we call it pizza pasta. It's really, really good and takes just moments to throw together. The ground beef, if you prep ground beef in advance, that saves you a ton of time. And then a couple of things, this is new. So we do love dates. We are working on cleaning up our diet just a little bit. We've gotten into the habit of convenience foods and eating a lot of sugar. So these pitted dates were a better price than Costco, and dates are just good for you. They're a great sweetener. So we've gotten a bag of those. Some more cocoa powder. I went through the last bag, so we needed some more of that. It is springtime, so I got 3 bottles of this organic lemon juice just because we are big lemonade drinkers. I like to make gourmet lemonade and do all kind of different flavors. So we have 3 bottles of the lemonade or the lemon juice for making lemonade. We were out of maple syrup, so we got the large container of their maple syrup. And then I showed you the avocado oil. Something that I've seen, Farmhouse on Boone Lisa Bass, she talks about this, and I've seen a lot of other people get it as well, is their raw milk cheddar cheese. This big block of it is 6 pounds, and I cannot tell you off the bat how much I paid for this, but I do know pound for pound it was a very good price compared to raw cheddar other places. And again, hopefully, you know, by next year I won't have to buy cheese or as much cheese. I know I'm not going to just be making cheese from scratch like crazy, but I'll have the opportunity and the ability to if I want to. And then I also thought I would get some mozzarella in a big thing. We typically buy bags of shredded mozzarella. And if you're like me, when you get it, it always has that like powdery coating on it. And sometimes they put so much of it. First of all, I question, is it really gluten-free, that powdery stuff? And then second of all, they put so much of it, sometimes it doesn't even really melt. Like it's just, and it's kind of didn't have a very good flavor. So I want to just, I'm going to pull out the food processor here in a minute, go ahead and shred up all of this mozzarella, go ahead and shred up all of this cheddar and bag it up, and I'll freeze some of it and refrigerate some of it. And then we'll have fresh shredded without that like cakey weird powder on it. This time I got the Tink Yada, what is this? I don't know if this is the elbow or the spaghetti. I feel like we had spaghetti. It is the elbow. So it's in a big giant bag of the elbow pasta. This is my favorite brand of elbow pasta. It just cooks up really, really good without getting mushy as long as you're careful. You cannot overcook gluten-free pasta, but I use just big pasta jars, put a bunch of this in, keep it sealed up tight inside the bag, and we go through it so quickly that I don't feel like I have to like store it with oxygen absorbers or anything like that. So that's this, and the last thing is salt. So I normally buy sea salt from Costco, but I've heard a lot about Redmond salt. I did a little bit of research on it, and it just has a large profile of minerals. And so we're gonna try it out. I also wanted to be able to store some salt. We are not like crazy, like I don't think anybody that's a prepper is crazy, but we're not extreme in our prepping, but we do like to always make sure that we have what we would need for our family on hand if we couldn't go to the grocery store for a month or so. And so I wanted to keep salt on hand, and I have some containers of like iodized salt, but I didn't want to long-term only have to deal with like cheap Walmart iodized salt. So I got this big bag of Redmond's. So that is our Azure run this time, and I hope it was helpful just to see some of the things that we picked out. Most of these things, like I said, are tried and true, and they're our favorite things to get. Other things that we get very frequently is the Bob's Red Mill baking flour. It's the 25-pound bags, the 2-to-1 baking flour. I buy that very regularly. We just didn't need any that time because I have a couple buckets of it. We also buy gluten-free rolled oats, and so I actually ordered 50 pounds, but they were out, so I didn't get any of that. And pepperoncinis in a jar. They have a really good price on pepperoncinis, and me and one of my daughters love them so much. They have so much flavor, and so they were out of those. For some reason, I always get a case of those. And we will buy like our Cliff Bars and things like that we would get from Walmart, but sometimes we don't. They are pretty much the same price, so we just kind of go back and forth on those. And that's pretty much it. That's our basics so far. If you have something that you love to get from Azure, especially if it's gluten-free, then please comment below and let me know, because I would love to hear what your favorites are so I can find some new favorite things. Bye-bye.